Hey guys, so this is part two of the Barbie Cowgirl tutorial slash walkthrough. It is lengthy. I realize that there's a lot of complicated stuff happening on the pants, so I appreciate your patience and thanks so much for the love on the two videos that I put out. I didn't think it would get much traction, but you guys seem to really like it, so I really appreciate that, and hopefully I can get better editing skills down and better thumbnails. But appreciate it, guys. I hope you enjoy. Anyway, now that we have these, let us make some pants. So I will once again add background image. And let's bring in our pants. Open. And let's rotate this guy 90 degrees. Negative. Negative 90? Yeah. Sorry. All right. So now we have some bell bottoms, right? So I was zooming into that one star like crazy. But yeah, she's got these really cool bell bottom jeans. They're so cool. You guys are like, just get on with the tutorial, goddammit. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm assuming these are waistbands. I don't know why there's three of them and they're all different lengths. See, I'm not a genius. Like, you know, every time I download patterns, I'm kind of like, I I looked at it and I thought it was a good idea, but now that I'm working with it, oh, what is going on? Also, if you see this little arrow thingy, it's just indicating to you the direction of the weave. So they want the weave to be going vertically as opposed to horizontally. And we have that feature in Marvelous Designer. Isn't that cool? I'm sure everybody was dying to know, but it's useful. This looks like there's an option here to make a dart. Let's see if we need that option, but I'm assuming we don't. Oh, delete that. And I'm not gonna use the zipper flaps right now. I can add those guys a little later. Oh, but actually I don't even need it for these pants because they have the lacing instead of zipper flaps. And again, I wouldn't, take too much time because, this isn't like necessarily a blueprint for my jeans. Well, actually, it totally is. But it's not like a exact thing that I need. But it'll just give me a ballpark. Okay, now that I'm done with my image, I'm just going to say reset so it goes away. Go away! And now we have the cutest and smallest little jeans I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab everybody but the pant part because I actually don't really know what these guys are gonna be doing. Maybe I should have read that image a little bit more, but who has time to read? All right, so with patterns, pants patterns, the back will have a little bit more fabric and a little bit more dip to account for the booty. So let's Control D, and I'm just gonna move this guy in this manner and Control D. Front and back. Cool. We're gonna bring back the show arrangement points again so that we can bring these guys to their proper locations. Okay, and let's grab this guy and do one of these. Okay. Let me just shimmy these guys. Oh, I'm not thinking right now actually, because before these guys, we need the waistband. I'm just gonna delete these two for now just because I don't think I will be using them. And I'm gonna use this guy as my waistband, but I can already see, because just judging by this pattern, I think we have a little bit of a small pattern. So we want this guy to just be a little bit larger, a little bit larger. Cool. I uniformly scaled it because maybe this waistband was supposed to make sense if these pants were just a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna grab all these patterns actually and do, man, let me just do 2D and do activate, then deactivate pattern and sewing. Shift Q to hide it. I'm just gonna use the waistband for now. This is my guy, my thing of interest right now. Okay, turn it off. I'm just gonna do copy paste because I want this guy to be in the back. Again, we're gonna bring back our arrangement points and grab this guy and snap him to the back. Cool, cool, cool. Now we have that and this, and that's how I know which one I'm sewing onto. How I find out is just by grabbing the pattern and seeing where the blue dot is. So I knew that this side has to get sewn onto this side right here. So now you can see that it's just a little bit small on her. We don't want it to be so tight and high up. So let's make it wider. Actually, these jeans do have like this curve down. You see how they kind of go with the line of, oh, I see. So the back is high up and it's probably straight across. Oh, it does divot a little bit. It does divot. Cool. Wow, these are really tight. But okay, if that's the case, let's just simplify. Right now, I'm not going to pay attention to this because I just want to get all the pants sewn together. So let's work with that first before overcomplicating the silhouette of things, right? So we're going to do, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this guy into this part, right here, and this guy into this guy. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna grab these guys, Shift Q to bring them back, and Control J to reactivate them. And as you see, this guy is gonna get sewn onto this guy, and this guy is gonna get sewn right across. Cool. And then we're gonna sew these guys closed. Let's see if that's too tight. I feel like it might be. And then this guy gets sewn onto this guy. Cool. So this guy into this guy. To this guy. This guy gets sewn onto itself. And then this guy into this guy. Cool. So what's great about symmetrical patterns is that the other sewing relationship kind of comes for the ride. Sorry, that probably looks so silly. And this is quite a big move, so I highly recommend for big moves that you do Control H, which will strengthen it and give it this shiny orange fabric. And that just allows it to figure itself out fast, as you just saw. Because it's not going to be a finicky fabric that's simming, it's going to be more of this like neoprene fabric that's simming. And honestly, guys, pretty good, right? Pretty good fit. Looks really flattering on her. I would say I'm going to shimmy this guy. I'm going to make this guy first a little wider. Because I did notice that this is a little offset. Just so that this guy can be more in the middle. Cool. Now I think the length is the issue where, as you see, she's probably wearing, I think it was rollerblades, huh? Either way. They're really long, right? So I would be generous, make it a little bit longer, something like that. Maybe a little shorter. Cool. Cool. And then let's check out the strain. These are really tight on her, but I do want it to be like, not to the point of like being stretching the UVs. So I am going to just make it a little bit wider on both ends. Just so that we can still get that tautness, but not stretch out our UV so... Oh, so the back to the waist. Okay. So we're just gonna sew this guy into this guy. Oh, the back is really small. Eek. Sorry, this is not a good way to work. Back in. Cool. And I'm just gonna shorten this guy to the visual distance that I saw. Is it the right way? No. Is it the wrong way? Not really. Alright. Enough is enough. Oh wow, but then that makes it so... Huh. Okay. Interesting. I'm just gonna get rid of this because I didn't really know what it was doing in the first place. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm just focusing on the waistband. I'm not really focusing on the pants relationship. Interesting. So I'm gonna make this guy 15. And the reason why is because that waist is about 30. So dividing it by 2, I'm just gonna make it a 15. Okay. Now we have to deal with the booty. So now let's try to get these shapes to be a little bit more forgiving of the bum bum. It's because I just don't want it to be so tight that it's like it's about to snap. And I just lowered the crotch area here, just because it was really tight and red. And so by lowering it, you just kind of give it a little bit more breathing room. Same thing with the same concept as the arm that we discussed earlier. So I'm just gonna make this guy a little bit wider too to accommodate the hips. And you know what? The bum is going to be just a little tight. You know what? Maybe I can... I don't recommend this. But... maybe. I'm just gonna make this wider and see if that helps that red area here. Right here. And so sometimes I just grab the red area in the 3D port and then that blue dot appears and that just indicates to me maybe we need more fabric around this situation. Okay, and now I think there's a little too much, honestly, because it is supposed to be like super tight. Like these types of wrinkles, you know, like anyone who's worn tight pants, you know that these wrinkles, they are cutting your circulation. They are not there because there's loose fabric. It's just like, it's just your fabric just trying to help you out, but it's just digging into your skin. So I'm just shimmying everything kind of back. Oopsies. But hey, you know, at least I'm trying to, like, I'm getting a little bit more familiar with this pattern and how it behaves. Sometimes, we gotta sacrifice it for the look. Oh man, I hope it doesn't stretch my UVs. Hopefully it's not too bad. But okay. Okay. Now I'm just shimmying everybody in. So we can have that really like tight on the thighs, but then flaring out at the bottom. Which is the intent. Oof, maybe. that is okay, although the bum is a little tight. It's not perfect, but I think for now, I think I have to kind of just give it the boot. Actually, I'm going to lower this because it does dip here. It does dip here. I think it's just because of like, yes, I think it's design, but I also think it's actually very tight on her. And I'm gonna freeze this at this point. It is not really the shape of the waistband, but we are going to address that now. And so I'm going to lower the area in the front and middle and unfreeze this guy. So same thing as I did with the back, so that it does that little dip like such. And I'm just gonna go for it. The front is always going to be a little bit more dramatic. And already I'm seeing that shape kind of come into place, which is good. That's all very, very good stuff to see. And as you see, I did that all with a very simple rectangle shape. Some people put in curves and things, which is okay, that's fine. But you can really achieve a lot with just a rectangle. And it's great for when you texture, because these guys become very easy to tile and throw on some tileables. And for the most part with fabric, it is very tileable. So I'm gonna put okay. I like where the waist is, but I don't necessarily like how thick it is. And yeah, I think overall we do need to lift this guy up, make him much skinnier like so. Control K. And these guys need to be higher up. So I think the shape is good, they just need to go higher. Okay, so let's grab all these pants, and maybe I made it too high. I just want it ideally like hovering, so it just kind of sews right into it. Let me check out my strain, see how crazy things might be looking. I do want to give her some space, you know? Like, I feel this pain, you know, I really do. This is tolerable, whatever. I think I could tolerate a little tightness around my hips, but the butt, man, when that area is tight, you worry, you know, you start to worry, because you're like, I don't know if I can sit down on a chair. That is a little too low. If you know, you know. Okay, so basically I'm trying to think what a clever way of making this shape. So clearly there is a fabric behind, and then these pants are sewn just up to here so that they can do this lacing. So I need some way to make this guy the fabric behind, and I think the easiest way for me is to cut and sew so I can make two pieces now, and that way I can kind of have a better time controlling these guys and kind of understand what we're up against. And I kind of want to make it 120 more and 120 more. Just hear me out. Watch. Okay, and now I have, oh, oops. Oh. This guy, I'm going to open up a little bit. Like so. Not bad. And I think I can actually make this a little bit lower. Like so. maybe even a little bit lower, like so. I'm gonna add a point at the end, and how I know it's the end of the sewing relationship is that the dash will always be closer to the start. So I'm gonna add a point there, and I'm gonna add a point at the end as well. So now I have this much 1.4 unsewn, right? So I'm going to make a piece of fabric like so. And I'm going to do change length to 1.4 plus 1.4 is 2.8. Got me sweating. All right, and I'm going to make sure that the direction is of both so that it just kind of evenly distributes my line. And I'm just gonna sew this guy into this guy, like so. And before I make it move, I'm going to do superimpose side. So that just snaps there, like so. Let's just trust the process. And let's just sew it down. And I'm just gonna make it a little bit longer because I did see it offset just a little bit. But yeah, yes, you see it? You see the potential of this guy? I did too. I'm gonna lower both of these guys down a little bit, just so that it kind of gives that more drama. Now that I have this piece of fabric here, let's continue on like nothing's happening. I'm trying to work it out here because technically what's happening is that this is an entire layer underneath, and these guys go all the way up. So if that's the case, what I'm going to do, okay, so let me connect this guy and this guy. Let me merge. Okay, and this guy, let's merge that. Cool, and then let's bring back the sewing pattern. Cool. Now we have a new relationship down here. It should just be normal when I sim it. Yep, nothing really changed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna draw a line here. Do cut and sew. Something like that. And actually, I'm just gonna get rid of these guys. Whatever. And I'm going to offset the pattern outline by 2.15. I don't need an internal line, so that's fine. And I'm just gonna delete the segment point since I don't really need it. And I'm gonna convert this guy to a curve. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm just gonna update my sewing to be all the way up to the top, like so. And actually, I'm going to add a segment point here, and I'm gonna right click, and this will allow me to uniform split down the middle. Okay, once I have that, I'm just gonna shimmy this guy down like so, so that we have that nice little V shape. This like faking that it's underneath, I'm going to offset the pattern outline. I'm gonna do 2, and this time I will do an internal line, and let me just see my options. I will go with this guy because I don't really necessarily need the extra here, so I'll just do something like this. Okay, and I will update my sewing relationship to still be sewn onto, oh no, sewn onto its respective shape. Okay. And I'm just gonna tuck this guy below. That way, he is right below. And I'm going to offset our internal line. Let me do something like, oh, I think I'll do 2.59 just so that it can sit on that segment point, and I don't really mind, and I think that looks good. And from here, I'm going to start making my internal lines for the little eyelets. So I'm just gonna do shift so that it uniformly makes a circle. Just to be a little bit more accurate, I'm gonna add a point to the start so that I know that the last one should be right here. Okay, grab that, and let's do okay, and with 5 of them, I get pretty close to this dot. So I think that looks pretty good. Nice, and once again, I'm just gonna shimmy everybody over so that it's closer to that corner. And with this guy, I'm going to grab a rectangle. No real rhyme or reason, but I do want this to be a little bit of a nicer number. Nicer number meaning like not like a miscellaneous one, like 0.91. Oh, there's Kiwi. I'm gonna align again to the top. That way I know it's about the same. And you know what, actually, I'm gonna see how it's a little bit larger than that diameter. I'm just gonna make it that long, just so that it can live comfortably in this space, because we are going to try to sew this guy into him. So now that we have that, let's freeze all guys that are not being affected, which is pretty much everyone except this guy. Okay, just gonna shimmy him over. Let me just go for it and see if this method is gonna work out or if it's kind of bad. So let me pull from here. And then, okay, so let's just do one at a time, like that. Not bad. Okay, I think I got it. In my head, I think this will work pretty nicely, but let's just go for it. Okay, and it's a little long, so let's make sure that this length is nice and taut. Closer. Cool. It might be a little too short now, so I'm just gonna... Alright. If this works out, I'm a madman. And if it doesn't, I'm just a man. Okay. And we're gonna sew it down to... Let me just get these guys arranged before I think of anything clever. I hope everyone is enjoying this little series. I know it's not probably the most exciting way to spend your night, but for me, I'm having so much fun. It's been a while since I've made anything that's not for work or I don't know. It's hard to do 3D recreationally these days, is what I'm trying to say. And so it's nice. It's nice to do it for funsies. And I hope that somebody can grab something new, learn something new from this. A lot of people get intimidated by eyelets just because of like they're like, what is going on? But really, you know, if you just do it one by one, it's kind of like, you know, when you look at a car engine, you're like, damn, what is going on in there? But that's just because, you know, at first you're just really overwhelmed by the entirety of it all. But once you start breaking it down, you start seeing the tubes and where it all connects. And then you're like, okay, okay, I get it. It's just a bunch of tubes that are like set up in a way. Not me trying to explain what a car engine is. Oh, and from time to time, if you hear Kiwi snoring, well, he's a pug and that's what they do. And yeah, don't hate. All right, now let's do the other side. So what I'm going to do, my plan is I'm going to extend this guy to reach this seam so that I can sew it onto that seam. And the reason why I want to do that is because I do want to optimize my sewing relationships and just make sure that, you know, if I can cut corners on how many relationships are being sewn, I will take it, because with sewing relationships, you don't want too many. It's just a lot for the program sometimes when you have a billion just kind of everywhere. And especially if they're overlapped, it's kind of it's a little much sometimes for the program to handle. And it starts to chug, is what I'm trying to get at. So with that, I'm just going to see if I could use this line. I'm just following the curve of the pants because that will, I think, be my best chance at trying to get a straight line. So I'm gonna add another curve here. There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. Shifting it over. Alright. Pretty good. Oh, and I believe this middle seam actually ends right at the knees. I think that was the knees, but it's a little bit higher, I think. I'm gonna hit right at this curve. Okay. Oh, oops. Alright, so I'm just eyeballing my internal line to be as straight as possible. There we go. So even though it looks kind of weird and curvy here, it looks pretty straight in the 3D viewport. That's all that really matters. So now that we have that, I'm going to add a point here. So I'm going to grab this guy and add point. All right, so what that allows me to get is the distance, which is 7.22. So let's change the length to 7.22. Okay. Seven 7.22. Oh, oops. And let's make sure to adjust it to the end. Sometimes it moves in a different way. And I'm just gonna pull this guy over here. And I'm just gonna try to trace that line. I guess, oopsies. Technically, it'd be sewn more like that, I guess. it'd be sewn more like that-ish. Ooh. Okay. Something like that. Oh my gosh, please. And then some something like that. And I'm just gonna do a curve. I don't know if that's even close, really, but anyway. Let's try and see if this will work according to my plan. So let's sew this guy down into this seam. Okay. Let's just go crazy. And I'm just gonna make this layer -1 so that I can just get that guy to be underneath. Now once that layer is underneath, I'm going to zero out my layers because it does get buggy if you do not turn it off. You've been warned, you hear my voice. Now we do have that, it's hard to see in the white, but let me assign this to a different color so that we can see the inside. So now it really gives you that illusion that it's getting sewn underneath, which is fantastic. Okay, now what I need to do is grab all these guys. I don't know if it's gonna delete my sewing relationships, but I think it's worth it. We gotta cut these guys out. So I'm gonna grab my pant patterns and move them out of the way so I could grab these circles and delete. Now we have holes. But let's see if my sewing relationships, yes, they are gone. So let's build them back up. So there is this top crisscross, right? And in this case, this guy is on top actually. Okay, so I'm gonna pull him out to be on top of this lace, but it goes underneath this layer, like so. So I'm gonna do top. And then this guy is underneath, but he also goes underneath this guy. Okay. Okay, that worked. Okay, that works. Okay, let's do the next one. The next one is over and over. Boom. Whatever. I knew that. All according to plan. Nothing is wrong. Nothing. And then these crisscrosses are actually both under. Nice. Okay. It's working. Wow, this is working way better than I thought. And these are both over. Nice. And then these are under. Well. Ha! Didn't that just work out so nicely? Oh. You almost got my spirit down. But not really. Okay, cool. And then I'm actually going to put a last one right here because I do see it now where it goes pretty much across you bottom. Okay. Like so. Nice. And let's just make this guy just a little bit shorter. Just a little bit shorter. He's pretty taunt. There we go. Something like that. It is hanging on. But I will say, I think actually now that everything is in place, I don't think that works anymore actually. So I'm going to grab all these pieces wherever I can, where there is no guy underneath. So this guy doesn't have one underneath, neither does this guy. Basically, I'm seeing how much of this fabric I could sew down. Because I can't go here because this ribbon is in the way. But I can tackle this guy pretty well. So I think I could go all the way down to here. And I'm going to sew that guy down. Same with this one. I'm going to, let's see if I can find that blue dot. Do you see how this light blue dot, it appears? So I'm just going to roll that down until I hit the next ribbon below. Oof. Try to make it as straight as possible, like straight parallel as possible. Again, this is not the best method, but it might be my only option. And so I'm just eyeballing it visually in my 3D menu, like so, and just trying to find the blue dot here and sewing it all the way down, like so. Okay. Same with this guy, right here. And I'm trying not to get really close to that ribbon underneath. I'm just trying to give it some space so that there's like that room for error. Oops. Okay. All right, so that's as many as I could have done. Okay, so that's a huge move. So this guy doesn't necessarily need a sim, but everyone else does. So let's go for it. Oh! Okay. So that helps kind of just cinch her back to a better area. Yeah. And I see a little bit of excess here. So I'm going to just shimmy this guy down. Or I'm just going to move it up a little bit. See if that helps. It does. And then I'm going to move this guy down overall and see if that helps with that excess. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, no, sorry. This gotta go higher. Too high. Okay. Okay. Sweetness. And then same with this guy. Let's go a little bit higher. A little bit higher. Basically, I'm just trying to get this guy to unwrinkle itself a little bit. Get a nice and tight. Nice. Okay. Now that I have... Oh, is this simming? Haha. Now that I have that, let's try to situate this situation over here. I'm going to cinch this guy up a little bit more. because maybe we don't need that much fabric anymore. Okay. I'm just gonna lower this a touch, just so maybe I can help this situation. Okay, okay, okay. This is tricky. Basically, I'm trying to do it in a way that will kind of stretch and pull this guy upwards without causing too much tension in other areas. So I'm just moving this guy down, and then the excess here is fine because I could just shimmy this guy down. Shimmy this guy down. And I'm just gonna ignore the behavior that's happening on the rivets. Cool. So I think that guy is looking fine. And same with this guy. I'm just gonna same with this guy. Pull him up until he's relatively straight, at least visually. Now that we have everything a little bit more situated, I'm gonna grab this guy and adjust this sewing to be sewn on the outer part so that it gives that illusion that it's getting looped somewhere. Then this guy, I'm going to delete this and sew it on top of this guy so that it gives that illusion of it's getting ribboned, if you will. Yuck. That literally did the opposite that I needed it to do. Okay, that's fine. And I just need this guy to be tucked underneath. So I'm just gonna tilt him. Not a problem. We just have to shimmy this guy in. And this is just me like really trying to be picky about it because I do see that this guy is going under in the reference. In the grand scheme of things, is this important? No, but it is just good practice and that's what we're here for. So I'm just gonna... I see. That won't work because you're like right on top of that. Okay. All right. That sewing relationship was going over the pants here, and that's why it wasn't able to tuck this ribbon underneath, just because of that sewing relationship. So it's kind of like, I'm going to shorten this guy too, just to give it a little bit more room to figure itself out. Alright. Like so. Boom. Bada boop boop. Like this and like this. Haha, yes. All right, now that we have the top doing its thing, everything else should be relatively easy. I say this now in the comfort of my success. But let's proceed and see. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, let's do the bottom. This guy needs to be tucked underneath as well. Nice, nice, nice. And he can afford to be a little shorter. We love a short king. So, boom. Oof, too much tension. Okay. Delete. And originally, the reason why I was sewing them on opposite sides rather than together like this is just so that they have enough space to figure themselves out, and also for me to kind of understand what's working and how are they all kind of trying to coexist. Okay, this is our next subject. And we're just gonna sew this guy onto this guy. What that does is it just gives that illusion of it's getting looped. But it's a lie! I'm a liar! But this is like a nice quick cheat to get your eyelets very quickly. The illusion. This guy I feel like is a little too loose, so I'm just gonna try to make him a little tighter. I'm gonna push this guy up. Oh, hello? Are you okay? Oh, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. And a lot of this jittering stuff, it'll calm down. So at this moment, I'm just gonna grab everybody. I'm just gonna step down to particle distance because I think it's just when you have smaller geo to work with in Marvelous, it's like really fighting to try to understand this behavior. Understandably so, because it's going off of such little topology. So to help out those small geo that you have, so anything like straps, I highly recommend to step them down to a lower particle distance. That way they're just easier to see visually what they're doing and what they actually look like. And then also they kind of just stop fighting themselves so much. Okay. Should be the last alley-oop. And boom, we got some eyelets. Honestly, they look pretty good. At this time, I'm just gonna grab all of my eyelets, eyelet holes, if you will, I don't know. And I'm gonna do offset internal line. Yes, how did you know? That's exactly what I wanted. Offset internal line, 0.1. Okay, so the next part of the bell bottoms is this. And for a while I was thinking like, is this one piece? Is it two pieces? But this image indicated to me that's cut. Let's create them. Extend to pattern outline. And I'm just grabbing the back pattern so that I can create that blue dot and kind of have that as my little note, visual notes to where I should be lining this guy up. Let's unfreeze this, sim it, see if they line up, and they do. Cool, very lucky that it all worked out. And just so that I have more control over the behavior and look of the bell bottoms, I'm gonna cut and sew this so that we separate the bell bottom part of the pants away from the actual pants. Cool. And at this point I will just freeze everything up here because last thing I want is all my hard work to just go bye-bye. So there's that. And let's check out the behavior of this guy. I think it's very straight. I don't think it does this like bell shape as much. I think it's pretty loyal to like a flare, like an A-line flare, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not sure if this terminology is accurate, so please excuse me. If you guys do know the correct terminology, I am open to learning, so definitely let me know nicely. And I'm just getting rid of all the curves since it's relatively straight, so no need to complicate it. Let's see how that looks. And I guess at this point I should just assign everybody to pink, or at least the pants to pink. All right. And I think they're overall just way more dramatic. So I'm going to go for it. All right. I'm gonna just focus more on making the bottoms wider than the top part because I don't want the top part to ruffle. I just want the bottoms to really flare out. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to grab these guys and I'm going to do a strengthen. Just so I can see the volume of this, and I'm using this guy as my volume reference. And I think we can go for it a little bit more. How fun. It must have been so fun to make the costumes for this, because I'm sure it's really rare to get just a wide range of clothing for one movie. So it must have been fun. And you know what? I don't really like how, you see how it just does like this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a curve point right in the middle and see if that helps make that more build. And it does. So I'm going to keep on going with this shape until I get more of a smooth, spherical, cylindrical shape, if you will. Cool. Now that I have that general volume that I like, I'm going to Control H to flatten it. And that will be my bell bottoms. Cute! And then in the back, I noticed that she has these seams. My dog. And so let's do that as well. So I'm just gonna grab it and try to keep loyal to the shape of the body as my jumping off point. And I'm just gonna aggressively move this over. Cool. And then this guy technically doesn't even go all the way up. Actually, it's a little bit lower. Okay. We have the waistband that dips a little, and then we have this cute little diamond shape. That seems to go down here. Cool. And it looks like it does curve a little bit, like so. Kind of like that, just to be more flattering around the booty. Cool. And let's just extend to internal line to snap it. And then let's just double check that we are still trying to get this guy to be as straight as possible. Uh, cool. So there's that. I'm just double checking to see if that's where I want that to land. I think it should be a little higher. And let's just make this guy up to internal line. Sweet. And then I'm actually going to grab one of my stars, copy, and I'm going to use them as my back pockets or whatever, back patches. When in doubt, just do it the hard way. Lovely. And then we'll bring this guy. It's what your laziness, you know, what laziness brings you. I think I heard this from somebody, meaning me in my darkest hour, but pretty sure somebody has said that laziness leads to creativity. Pretty sure. But also, don't be lazy. But also sometimes, you know what, if you don't have the brain, then definitely you gotta put in the hard work, right? Like if you don't know how to finesse this guy, then just work it out, man. Okay. Alright, accomplish this. Alright, let's do offset internal line. And let's do 1. I believe that was the distance between this guy and that guy. And okay. And these are kind of big, so I'm gonna make them smaller. A little bit. Oh, smaller. And I'm just trying to see in the images where the star points at, and it does point right at the seam here. And it does seem to land right at this guy. What I mean is the point is on the seam, but so is this guy. Cool. Now that we have that, let me bring this guy over because we did scale down that pattern a little bit. And let me just uniformly scale it down. Cool. It doesn't have to be too exact, but try your best. Now that we have that, let us sew this guy down. Boom, boom. I'm just gonna do half these, just for a little more mercy. I feel like when I do the entire shape, especially if it's kind of complex like this, I'm just like asking for like a bug to happen. Or like some weird finickiness around this kind of weird shape. Okay, once again, I'm gonna do superimpose over, and I'll just snap it right on top. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna unfreeze that, and I do not need this. Oh, I have 2 of these. Nice. Okay, and then now that I have that, I'm gonna Control D so I could get it on the other side. Cool. Now we have our stars. And yeah, once again, I have to address the booty because as you see, our star looks like this, but it's really stretched here because of how tight things are. So this is why it is important to make sure that you are adjusting this and checking your strain maps for situations like this, where, you know, it does kind of hurt the pattern in a way, a little bit. So let us just be a little bit more generous so that this star can kind of sit a little bit more properly on her. And I think that looks much better. Cool. That is our star. Not too bad, you know, not too bad. And let's just make sure we are extending to pattern outline. It will be the death of me. This is a good time to save because I'm not doing that again. All right, almost done. Thanks guys so much for watching. I know it was a lengthy video, but I hope you got some good information out of it. And part 3 will just be me finishing it up and doing a simple render. Until then, see ya!